I took a night job with 8 rules. The last one trapped my name. I accepted that job because, for 8 months, I've been waking up early just to pretend I still had somewhere to go. At first, I told my mother the interviews were moving forward. Then I started saying I was waiting for a reply. In the end, I only said everything was fine. The problem is that unemployment does not leave a person only without money. It starts erasing their name little by little. First from emails, then from conversations, then from the mirror itself. When the opening appeared, I barely read it. Night assistant. Old cargo warehouse. Shift C. Start time, 11 at night. End time, 7 in the morning. No experience required. No course required. It asked only for willingness, attention, and operational silence. Operational silence. I thought it was company language trying to sound important. I sent my resume immediately. 2 hours later, a woman with a trained voice called from a private number and asked if I could start that same night. I said yes before asking where it was. The warehouse was on the edge of the city, after a long avenue where the streetlights seemed to give up a little more at every block. The building was too ordinary to be frightening. Gray walls, metal gates, silent trucks, and an old company sign with a name almost erased. At the guard booth, the security guard checked my name on a clipboard and pointed toward the side entrance.
Marcelo is waiting for you.
Marcelo was the supervisor of Shift C. I found him near a dead coffee machine, wearing a reflective vest and holding a ring of keys. He looked like he was in his early 40s, but also like someone who had been sleeping wrong for a very long time. He was polite, dry, and direct.
Are you Daniel?
I am.
You arrived on time. That helps.
His hand was cold, not like skin that had been in air conditioning, but like the handle of a storage room door. He showed me the basics while we crossed the warehouse. High shelves, old boxes, corridors marked by letters, and long ceiling lights vibrating overhead. In certain spots, the place smelled like damp cardboard and metal. When we passed the sign for Corridor B, Marcelo stopped for less than a second. I noticed. The sign was blue, with a white letter peeling away. Behind it was a red fire door, chained shut. A gray notebook hung beside it, with the words internal occurrences handwritten on the cover.
Corridor B is not part of your work today.
Is it under maintenance?
Out of use.
In the shift office, he opened a metal drawer and took out a laminated sheet. The edges were worn. At the top, in black letters, it read,
Internal Procedures of Shift C.
He placed the sheet on the desk.
Read it before you start.
Pop quiz?
Procedure. Around here, improvising causes problems.
I picked up the sheet. The language looked like an internal manual, but something in the sentences made the skin on my arm tighten. It was not exactly fear. It was like seeing someone try to write the impossible using office words.
Rule number 1. When you arrive, sign your name only on the Shift C line. If there's another name written above yours and the ink looks fresh, do not cross it out, do not photograph it, and do not notify management. Close the book for 10 seconds and open it again. If the name is still there, work as if that person arrived before you.
I looked up. Is this serious?
It is procedure.
I kept reading.
Rule number 2. Corridor B remains closed between 2 and 3 in the morning. If you hear boxes being dragged, wet footsteps, or someone asking for help behind the fire door, record internal noise in the gray notebook. Do not place your ear against the door, because on the other side, someone always places their ear there first.
The warehouse cracked somewhere far away. Marcelo did not move.
Rule number 3. The dock scale may register weight with no cargo on it. If that happens, write down the exact number, the time, and the temperature shown on the display. Never say out loud that the dock is empty. The last person who said that spent the rest of the shift hearing a parked forklift call his name.
Why would you write that?
So nobody can say they were not warned.
Rule number 4. The back restroom must not be used after 3:15. The mirror in there runs a few minutes behind. If you see yourself washing your hands before you have gone in, turn off the light, go back the same way, and use the front restroom, even if the back door keeps opening behind you.
The office light blinked twice. Marcelo did not react.
Rule number 5. The employee from the previous shift always signs out. If the space is blank, sign for him with the blue pen attached to the book. Do not use your own pen. Do not ask who he was. The company considers a missing signature an operational pending item, and operational pending items must be assigned to someone.
ISNT signing for someone else wrong? Marcelo looked at me properly for the first time.
Here, wrong is leaving a line blank.
Rule number 6. At exactly 4 in the morning, Do the patrol alone. Pass in front of corridor B. Check the dock light. And return without looking at the cameras. If you hear someone walking in the same rhythm as you, do not speed up. It only realizes you are alive when your steps stop matching its own.
I wanted to hand the paper back and leave. But I thought about the overdue bills, about my mother speaking to me carefully, and about the shame of going home and saying I had turned down the only job that had appeared. I kept reading.
Rule number 7. If the supervisor asks you, after 4:30, whether you saw someone working, answer only that the shift is normal. He is not testing your courage. He is trying to find out if there is still time to take you off the schedule.
Marcelo tapped the pen on the desk once. Tack.
Rule number 8. Never correct the time book. Even if you find your name on an earlier date. Even if you see a signature you never wrote. Even if another employee's sign out has been blank for years. The book does not record who entered the warehouse. It decides who has not left yet.
When I finished, I waited for Marcelo to smile and admit it was a prank. He only put the keys in his pocket.
The door is right there. If you leave now, the opening closes today. Tomorrow someone else comes in.
That was what made me stay. Not courage. Not curiosity. Shame. I decided to try at least one night. The time book sat near the inner entrance, held by a thin chain. It was large, old, and heavy, with yellowed pages. Marcelo opened it to that day. The line above mine was filled by a name that was hard to read. It looked like Miguel. Or Michael. The blue ink shone as if it had just dried. I closed the book for 10 seconds. When I opened it again, the name was still there. I work as if he arrived before me.
Yes.
Did he arrive? Marcelo adjusted the radio on his belt.
You are still asking questions like someone from outside.
I signed my name on the line below. Daniel Ferreira. My handwriting came out crooked. The first hour was almost normal. He taught me how to separate boxes, check labels, and enter codes into an old system that froze whenever the computer clock hit minute 44. Marcelo spoke little, but he was not rude. When I made a mistake, he corrected me without raising his voice. When I got something right, he only said,
Keep going.
A little after midnight, he left me alone in the sorting area.
I am closing a report. Anything happens, use the radio.
Anything normal or anything procedural. He stared at me for a moment.
If you have to choose, use the procedure.
After I was alone, the warehouse seemed to expand. The shelves stayed in the same places, but the sounds grew longer. Plastic tightening sounded like breathing. Metal groaning sounded like someone leaning on the structures. Every 15 minutes, there was a crack from the side of corridor B. When the clock reached 1:38, Marcelo called me on the radio.
Go to dock 3 and check the scale. Only check it. If there is a number, write it down.
Dock 3 was beyond a corridor that smelled like rubber and old rain. There was a closed metal door, a yellow stripe on the floor, and an industrial scale built into the ground. On top of it, nothing. The digital display was lit. 78 kilograms. Below it, in smaller numbers, 14 degrees. I almost said out loud that the dock was empty. Almost. The sentence froze when I remembered rule number 3. I took the gray notebook from the dock. In the last filled line, the handwriting was Marcelo S.
Previous record. 3:59. Dock 3. 78 kilograms. 14 degrees. Shift normal.
I wrote below it, current record. 138. Dock 3. 78 kilograms. 14 degrees. Shift normal. When I finished, the scale beeped once and returned to 0. In the office, Marcelo only asked,
Did you say anything?
No. He nodded, as if that mattered more than the weight. When it reached exactly 2 in the morning, the door to corridor B groaned. I was in corridor D, folding labels, when I heard a box being dragged on the other side of the warehouse. The sound came slow, too heavy for an empty box. I went to the end of the row. The red door was still shut. The chain was in place. The gray notebook swung on its hook, even though the air was still. Then came a voice.
Is anybody there?
Low. Distant. Behind the door. I did not answer.
I am trapped.
The rational part of me looked for explanations. A forgotten employee. A contractor. Someone who had entered without authorization. The part that had read the sheet told me to grab the notebook. I took one step toward the door. The chain stretched by itself, as if someone were pulling it from the other side.
Daniel.
I backed away immediately. The notebook hit the wall. Tack. 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 Like a time clock. With a stiff hand, I wrote,
Occurrence record. 207. Corridor B. Internal noise.
When I closed the notebook, the voice stopped. Marcelo appeared behind me without making a sound.
Did you record it?
I did.
Good.
There was someone asking for help.
There was the sound of someone asking for help.
What is the difference? He looked at the red door for less than a second.
One of them, you can help.
After 3, exhaustion began to cover everything. Marcelo sent me to get a folder from the file room, near the back restroom. On the tile beside the door, there was a notice.
Use the front restroom after 3:15.
I looked at the clock. 3:22. I kept walking. In the file room, the boxes seemed organized by a logic no one had the patience to explain. I was looking for a folder called Route C, dock and checking, when I heard a faucet. Drip, drip, then running water. The door of the back restroom opened a little more. I did not go in, but I looked. In the mirror, there was a man washing his hands. He wore the same vest I did. He had my height, my hair, and my hunched shoulders. He rubbed his fingers as if trying to remove blue ink from his skin. I was still outside. The version in the mirror raised its head before I did, and smiled. I slapped off the hallway light and went back the same way. The restroom door opened behind me. Then another door opened closer. And another, as if the corridor had learned how to manufacture restrooms in the dark. I only stopped at the front restroom. Marcelo was there, standing in front of the time book.
Did you see it?
I saw enough.
Did you turn off the light?
I did. He exhaled.
Then it is still simple.
That word irritated me. Marcelo, I need to know what this place is. He closed the book.
It is a warehouse.
Do not do that. For the first time, his expression cracked a little.
If I tell you too much before 4, you will try to fix it. Everyone tries. Good people try faster.
Fix what? The radio hissed before he could answer. A low voice came through it.
Shift C. Dock 3.
Marcelo turned the radio off immediately.
Do not answer the radio between 3:30 and 4 if I am standing beside you.
Was it you?
I am here.
When there were 8 minutes left before 4, he handed me a flashlight.
Patrol at 4. Alone.
I'm not going into corridor B.
You are not supposed to. Just pass in front of it, check the dock light, and come back.
And if I hear someone?
You will.
And if I do not do the patrol? Marcelo looked at the clock. The second hand seemed heavy.
Shift C is left without partial closing. Then the system looks for whoever is available.
System? He pointed to the book, the cameras, the old computer, and the whole warehouse.
Do not think of it as a computer.
There were 3 minutes left. I thought about leaving. The side exit was close. My phone was in my pocket. I could invent any excuse and never come back. But I had already signed my name. And in that place, signing seemed different from entering. When the clock reached exactly 4, I started the patrol. The entire warehouse seemed to hold its breath. The flashlight lit only enough to organize the shadows. I passed corridor A, then C. Everything was still. On the parked forklift, a green light blinked, even though there was no key. I did not look at the cameras. When I got close to corridor B, my footsteps became too loud. Tack, tack, tack. I passed in front of the red door. On the other side, someone started walking in the same rhythm. Tack, tack, tack. I kept going. With every step of mine, another step came from inside. It was not an echo. Echoes do not drag 1 foot. Echoes do not breathe between beats. My instinct told me to speed up. I did not. At dock 3, the light above the platform was blue. The scale read 78 kilograms. Temperature, 14 degrees. The radio on my belt hissed.
Daniel.
My hand moved to the device, but I stopped. The voice sounded too close, as if it were coming from the radio and the dock at the same time.
Daniel. Look at the dock camera.
I did not look. On the way back, in front of door B, something knocked from the other side. One low knock. Then came a thin, recognizable sound. A pen scratching paper. Through the lower crack under the door, a badge slid out until it touched my shoe. I did not fully stop, but I saw enough.
Miguel A. Night assistant. Shift C.
Sign my exit.
My foot almost broke rhythm. The step on the other side returned half a second late. It had noticed. I finished the patrol without picking up the badge, without looking at the camera, and without running. When I returned to the office, Marcelo was beside the time book, pale.
Did you see someone working?
The exact sentence from rule number 7. The shift is normal. His shoulders lowered a little.
There is still time.
Time for what? He opened the book. The line above mine was blank. The name that looked like Miguel had disappeared from the entry. Only an empty space remained in the sign-out column, as if someone had erased everything except the pending item. Marcelo took the blue pen attached to the book and handed it to me. The pen was ordinary, but my fingers went cold when I touched it.
Sign it the way the procedure says.
What's his name?
Do not ask.
You knew him. Marcelo closed his eyes for a moment.
Daniel, sign.
You knew him. He opened his eyes. There was fear there, but also memory.
I was you.
The sentence stayed between us. What do you mean?
New. Desperate. Trying to prove I could work. Thinking strange rules were just superstition from tired people. I heard him ask for help. I opened the door.
The door to corridor B cracked somewhere outside. Marcelo continued.
The accident had already happened. The company had already cleaned, locked, and written everything its own way. But the book was left without a sign-out. When a shift stays without a sign-out for too long, something keeps clocking in.
What happened to you? He laughed without humor.
I signed for him using my own pen. I tried to do it right, my way. After that, my name appeared on 3 old pages. 3 entries without exits.
And how did you get out? Marcelo looked at me.
I did not. I was promoted.
Supervisor?
Training substitutes.
The radio hissed on the desk. The voice that came out sounded like mine.
Marcelo, is the shift normal?
Marcelo turned the radio off hard.
Sign it now.
If I sign, what happens?
If you follow the procedure, maybe you finish the shift. You go home. You get paid. You come back tomorrow. If he has not noticed you more than he already has, you are just employed.
And if he already noticed? Marcelo did not answer. He did not need to. I looked at the blank line. Rule number 8 returned whole inside my head. Never correct the time book, even if another employee's sign-out has been blank for years. The book does not record who entered. It decides who is not left yet. His name is Miguel? Marcelo went still. Outside, a parked forklift beeped. Once. Then again.
Do not do that.
He asked me to sign his exit.
He asks everyone.
Maybe nobody did it the right way. Marcelo grabbed my wrist before I touched the page.
You think you are freeing someone. That is what I thought. The rule does not exist to save him. It exists to keep you out of his line.
Then why does it say to sign?
Because the book needs movement. Entry, exit, entry, exit. Signing without asking only pushes the line to the next night. Writing his name is something else. It is recognizing the pending item as a person. And the book charges that recognition to whoever wrote it.
He looked toward the office door.
When you try to correct it, the pending item looks back.
I should have listened. Even now, this is the hardest part to tell, because I can see the mistake at the exact moment it happened. It was not a trance. It was not an invisible force. It was a choice. I thought about the months when I felt erased. I thought about unanswered resumes. I thought about that man reduced to a blank line, to 78 kilograms on a scale, and to a voice behind a door. Maybe I confused compassion with vanity. I wrote in the sign-out column, Miguel A. The blue ink entered the paper as if the page were thirsty. Marcelo released my wrist.
You did not write the exit.
I looked. My handwriting kept forming by itself.
Miguel Alves. Shift C closed. Pending item transferred.
The pen fell from my hand. All the lights went out except the one in corridor B. The chain on the door slid across the floor. It did not sound like metal. It sounded like paper tearing. Marcelo pulled me behind the desk.
Do not look.
But I looked. The red door was open only a crack. Behind it, there was no ordinary corridor. There were old-time clocks fixed to the walls, all marking 4:17. On the floor, footprints went back and forth along the same path. Farther in, a blue light illuminated the dock. Standing in front of the door was the man from the badge. Miguel Alves looked like an employee at the end of a shift that had lasted too long. Reflective vest, shirt dirty with dust, tired eyes, hands hanging at his sides. He looked first to Marcelo.
You are still here.
Marcelo did not answer. Then Miguel looked at me.
Exit registered.
The time book began turning pages by itself. Pages and pages, all with names, times, entries, and exits. I saw Marcelo's name repeated on impossible dates. I saw shaking signatures. I saw empty spaces that looked deeper than paper. Then I saw my name. Daniel Ferreira. Not on that day's page. On an old page, dated 8 years earlier.
Entry, 11 at night. Sector, Shift C. Exit blank.
No. Miguel tilted his head.
The book was only waiting for your handwriting.
I ran. I passed the desk, the concrete hallway, the cracking shelves. Behind me, the dot panel beeped without stopping. From somewhere, my own voice called through the radio.
Marcelo, is the shift normal?
The side exit seemed farther than before. When I finally touched the door, it opened without resistance. The dawn air hit my face. I fell on my knees in the parking lot and breathed as if I had just come up from underwater. Marcelo appeared a few minutes later. He walked slowly toward me.
Can you get home?
Did I get out? He took a moment.
Out of the building, yes.
And out of the shift, Marcelo looked at the side entrance.
Go home, Daniel.
Do I come back tomorrow? He did not answer. Marcelo. His face looked older.
The opening closed.
That should have sounded good. But he said it like someone hearing a door lock from the inside. I went home without really remembering the way. I showered with the light on and avoided the mirror. I lay down dressed and slept for a few minutes. I woke up to my phone vibrating. It was a message from the private number.
Congratulations on your first shift. Report today at 10:45 for alignment.
I deleted it. The message came back with an attachment. It was a photo of the time book. My name was on the Shift C line. But above it, where Miguel Alves had been before, it now read,
Marcelo Rocha. Entry, 11 at night. Exit, 7 in the morning. Signature, completed.
Marcelo had left. I understood it in pieces. Miguel had not been freed. Marcelo had. His signature was completed because mine had been left open. He had not lied when he called it substitute training. He just did not say the substitute was chosen by the book, not by the company. When the clock reached 10:10 that night, someone knocked on my apartment door. Tack, tack, tack. I looked through the peephole. No one was there. Only a folded reflective vest on the floor, a new badge, and a laminated sheet on top. My name was printed on the badge.
Daniel Ferreira. Supervisor. Shift C.
I did not go that night. I did not go the next night either. For 3 days, I ignored messages and calls. On the 4th day, my account received a deposit called Night Supervision Advance in the exact amount of my overdue bills. With it came a message.
Operational pending items do not stop existing when ignored.
That night, inside my apartment, I heard the sound of a pen scratching paper in the kitchen. When I got there, the table was empty, but there was blue ink on my fingers. On the tile near the sink, steam drew a sentence before vanishing.
Is the shift normal?
I returned to the warehouse on the 5th night. I do not remember choosing. At 10:45, I was in my living room. At 11, I was standing in front of the guard booth, wearing the vest, with keys in my pocket. The guard checked the clipboard and said,
Good evening, Supervisor.
Marcelo was not there. In the office, the time book was open. My name occupied the first line.
Entry, 11 at night. Exit blank.
In the drawer, I found a stack of laminated sheets. They all said internal procedures of Shift C. But the last item had changed.
Rule number 8. Never correct the time book. Even if you find your name on an earlier date. Even if you see a signature you never wrote. Even if another employee's sign out has been blank for years. The book does not record who entered the warehouse. It decides who has not left yet. If, during the patrol, you hear Daniel Ferreira calling from Dock 3, do not answer. He learned your name on his first shift, and he is still trying to hand the keys to someone.
I read it until the words lost their shape. When the clock reached 11:12, the security guard appeared in the doorway.
A new candidate has arrived.
Behind him was a thin young man, his dress shirt too loose and his eyes like someone who had not been sleeping well. He held a folder with his resume and hope folded in the middle.
Good evening. I am Raphael. They told me to start today.
My hand went to the drawer. I could tell him to leave. I could scream. I could tear the paper before the warehouse learned his name. But the book moved by itself. A new line appeared under mine. Raphael. The ink looked fresh. From corridor, B came the low voice of a parked forklift calling.
Daniel.
The young man looked at me.
Did someone call you?
I closed the drawer for 10 seconds. When I opened it again, the laminated sheet was still there. I took one of them and placed it on the desk between us. My voice came out too calm, too tired, just like Marcelo's voice on my first night. Read it before you start.
Pop quiz?
I did not laugh. Behind him, The blue sign for corridor B looked a little more peeled than before. Procedure. Around here, improvising causes problems. And before he lowered his eyes to rule number 1, I realized the worst part of all. I wanted him to obey. Not to save him. To gain one more night.